Well, that did not go well. That was a 7-2 decision against the Trump administration's use of the Alien Enemies Act. In particular, and this is interesting, and you're going to see it in the video in a second, it's not that the Supreme Court said he could not use that act. It's that not enough time was given to these people to state their case. It gets back to the due process argument. Apparently, they need more than 24 hours, need to be given more than 24 hours. Take a listen to the video.
But first, we are following breaking news out of the Supreme Court, which has just kept in place its order blocking the Trump administration using the Alien Enemies Act to deport Venezuelan migrants. NBC News Justice reporter Ryan Riley is here with me now. Ryan, what do we know?
Yeah, so essentially the key part of this ruling is that the 24-hour period that last month some people were given before they were expected to be removed from the country is not enough. That is not adequate. In fact, they say it surely does not pass muster. They do not specify precisely how long of a warning that these individuals who are set to be deported under the Alien Enemies Act need to be given before their deportation. They say that a lower court should handle that in a speedy matter. Rather, the court should take up that issue, look at the merits of the case and decide what is an adequate amount of time. But for now, they've left everything in place in terms of the hold on the deportation of these individuals, as well as people who are in that broader class. So this holds up the Trump administration from continuing these deportations under the Alien Enemies Act.
All right. So again, this was not a rejection of the Trump administration's use of the Alien Enemies Act. It was the Supreme Court saying in a 7-2 decision, 24 hours is not enough time. And again, like I said before, it gets back to the due process argument. What these justices are saying in the Supreme Court, the majority, are saying is that 24 hours isn't enough time. So now it goes back to the lower court. And the lower court is somehow, some way supposed to make a decision that we all can be happy with on how much time these violent, criminal, illegal aliens need that's beyond 24 hours. Is it 36, 48, 72? Who knows? We will find out. Here's my issue with the whole thing. So, of course, President Trump was upset. And in my opinion, justifiably said, now we are stuck with violent, criminal, illegal aliens that are going to be in the country longer than they would have been. And they pose a risk to the rest of us. That's an accurate statement. Hard to fight with that. And before somebody on the left comes and says, nah, you're wrong legally. No, that's not wrong legally. I'm not wrong legally. Alito and Thomas on the Supreme Court had no problem with the 24 hours. So it's not a right or wrong issue. To me, it becomes an issue of inconsistency on the left. Let me elaborate. The problem I have with the left, and by the way, those of you on the left commenting in the comment section, go ahead, have at it. Just keep it fact-based and value added, if you would. The problem I have, and most of us have with the left, is inconsistency. Okay, so here we have the left wanting to make sure and pandering to violent, criminal, illegal aliens to make sure they have enough due process. Okay, so where is the left with regards to the victims and their lack of due process, both past victims and, of course, future victims? Where is that due process? Let me give you some more examples of lack of due process. And by the way, due process is not just restricted to, your time to prepare for a hearing. It's the deprivation of your civil liberties. Okay? It's deprivation of civil liberties, which can include freedom of speech, harassment, arrest. It is rather broad in spectrum. Examples. Y'all remember the father who went to the school board because his daughter had been raped in the girls' room at school. He was upset, got upset. The school board had him arrested. Of course, everything ended up differently for the person that did that to his daughter. He was sent to another school where he assaulted another girl. This whole trans thing, boys saying they're girls, and this is what can happen. My question is, what due process was given to the father? And we're not even talking about the daughter. I mean, she's damaged for life. But what due process was given to him? I mean, y'all want to protect these violent, criminal, illegal aliens. Heaven forbid they're in your neighborhood. But what happened to the dad? He gets to spend time in jail. For what? For speaking up in support of his daughter against a school board that knew it was a problem. By the way, that's why Virginia, when the election came around, they elected a Republican governor, a Republican female lieutenant governor. a Republican attorney general. I mean, the folks in Virginia, which is not exactly a red state, I wouldn't even call it purple, realized, okay, things are out of control, in part because of lack of due process on the part of Democrats. I'll give you another example. I mean, we could go on all day long. I'll just give you one more. So y'all remember the father and son that went to an abortion clinic. Of course, this is a Christian family I'm talking about. Dad takes his son to an abortion clinic. They're not stomping around, yelling, ranting, and raving. They're there. Somebody put hands on the son. Father got upset. Altercation ensued. Not long after that, law enforcement showed up at 0:30 with long guns. Okay, not just show an ID, long guns. And hopefully y'all know what that is. That could have turned bad very quickly. If somebody inside, the lights weren't on, law enforcement gets confused, somebody gets hurt or killed. Okay, all over a dad protesting at an abortion clinic peacefully. What due process did he get? And like I said, we could go on and on, but the problem most of us on the conservative side have with the Democrats is there's no consistency with your application of the law. Not at all. Okay, and you're gonna say, oh, but the other conservatives on the Supreme. I understand. We have rhinos on the Supreme Court. That's what they're called. It's a lack of consistency with application of law from the left. That's the problem. And the question that we all have is why? And the answer is because the left wants power and control. They're going to use the law when, where, and how they see fit to get power and control. You can disagree with that. Let me know in the comments section. You can be upset with all sorts of stuff I've said. Let me know in the comment section, but let's have a discussion about the Supreme Court decision, where we go from here. Let's try to keep it fact-based. And I have no problem with anybody saying, hey, I disagree with you. I think, I'm a liberal and we're consistent with everything. Love to see that comment in the comment section. We have a comment about that or a discussion about that as well. At any rate, as always, until next time, God bless. Love you all.